is in our brain, or what was the question, Alita? Alita?
Yep, that's what I asked. Sorry.
Okay,
Guess I was on
good.
mute.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. And what was your question for me, Alita? What did you just ask me?
How does if we're not fully hydrated in our
Yes.
brains, since
Mm-hmm.
73% of it is made up of water, if we're
Yes.
not fully hydrated, what are
Well,
the symptoms or effects that we feel?
it's one of those things that I actually, when Alita and I started talking a little bit about this topic a little bit more, we wanted to talk about hydration just from a little different angle that we usually do. It was actually kind of eye-opening because things that happen to our bodies when we get even like 1.6% or something lose water, 1.6%, or something, we will actually start feeling a little bit groggy, tired, and our brain is highly affected. And all of a sudden, we feel like a little brain fog or something is coming on, and we are just not able to use our brain as much as we do when we are fully hydrated. So the first organ in our body that is feeling dehydration is our brain. And so when you feel that afternoon slump oftentimes coming on, what helps is sometimes just instead of drinking a coffee, going actually and grabbing a glass of water, which it was really eye-opening to me, Alita, and I think you were the same way when we found these facts about the brain being so highly affected that I couldn't even believe it that my brain is so, I'm sorry, guys, I just ran over here, is so affected by the loss of just a tiny little bit of water. So I want everybody to tell me a little bit here. Did you already have some water here this morning? And if not, let's grab some. Alita, would you take over from you for just 1 second? Alita,
Sure,
would
go
you?
ahead. Everybody, put it in the chat box. I'd like to hear from you. What is your first sign of how your brain is impacted? Would it be your reduced ability to focus, your reduced memory, or mood? Okay, so our options here are focus, memory, or mood. Have you noticed any of those? If so, which one typically do you find impact your brain when dehydrated? Again, that's focus, memory, or mood. Okay, I'm seeing focus quite a bit. I would also say mood is for actually, honestly, it's more so my kids. I see them impacted when they're not drinking enough water, which as a mom, I guess that's my job to make sure they drink enough water. But sometimes kids, or even not just my kids, but like my nieces and nephews, who, if they are not drinking water, but they're drinking maybe sodas and other juices and stuff like that, which, yes, juice can be hydrating, but oftentimes it's they're drinking sodas or whatnot, and that impacts their mood significantly, I think.
Totally.
Yeah.
And yeah, and we know we talk about this, and I actually do feel, and ever since we've done this research a little bit more, and we found some really interesting sites and studies about hydration, I have I have really, ever since that last week we talked about this, I could feel those things coming on, especially like after maybe afternoon or something, that I was getting a little bit, sometimes would maybe get a little slightly a small headache or something, or I would be maybe a little bit more irritable than usually, or that afternoon fatigue. And instead of grabbing a coffee, which I usually would do, or maybe like a tea or something, I would grab a glass of water, and it's a magic trick. It actually helps. So we talked about this last year when we were talking a little bit about headaches and stuff like that, and that we oftentimes grab the ibuprofen, which I am one of those people because I really since I am prone to migraine, especially now in menopause, I tend to just grab a ibuprofen. And ever since we talked about it last year, but now even more today, since I am a little bit more knowledgeable about hydration now, I oftentimes feel water is perfect. I don't know, Alita, if you already talked about the sometimes when we talk, and I'm also one of those fitness professionals that says no, coffee doesn't count towards hydration. Don't drink coffee because um, it actually will dehydrate you. And so we wanted to clear those facts up a little bit, just like you said with juice and soda. Okay, there's obviously the sugar in there and everything, but so you can hydrate. Obviously, anything really that has water in it is hydrating, but the coffee, if you drink too much coffee, we kind of read 2 to 3 cups of coffee is actually will all count towards your hydration. So, but if you say, okay, but I only drink coffee all day, so then it will dehydrate you a little bit more than it would do good. So always make sure, and I feel like I have found a really good way for myself to drink coffee when I have a coffee, and it's also how you get served coffee in Italy or Spain or something, you have a glass of water with your coffee. So just make sure, don't be scared of coffee because it's so dehydrating. You can have your coffee, but sip a little water with it. That will actually get rid of all that effect of that dehydration of that caffeine in your body. So
Yeah, and I'm glad you
sparkling,
mentioned caffeine because Mark earlier said he's not a coffee drinker, but he drinks, the caffeine or whatever. And that's really what it is. The
yeah.
caffeine after a certain amount, team on here, it becomes a diuretic. Within reason of the caffeine serving, it can be hydrating through whatever beverage you're drinking.
Hmm.
But then after that certain point, the diuretic effects of it outdo the hydrating effects of it and kind of mitigate obviously the
Yeah.
hydration benefits that you'd get
Yeah.
from it. So after a certain point, you definitely do need to be drinking water to mitigate the diuretic effects of too
Yeah.
much caffeine coming
Yeah.
in.
A really nice way for me to wake up in the morning, and I've been doing it since our last year's coffee talk, when we talked about hydration. I start every morning with a glass of water. So before I do anything else, I drink a glass of water, sometimes 8, sometimes 12, sometimes 16 ounces, and I kind of grew into that 16-ounce glass. But in the beginning, I just had that little tiny cup, and that's all I could handle. My stomach was not ready to just receive a bunch of water in the morning. But now I made it all the way to 16 ounces. And you know what? It's like this boost of energy that I get from my water. So before I even drink coffee, I'm a coffee drinker. I'm also a tea drinker. I like caffeine. It just gives me a little bit extra energy. But I start my day every morning with water. And this is one of those things that I would tell you, maybe get into the habit of having a glass of water sitting by your kitchen sink or wherever you go first before you prepare your coffee. It's a really nice way to get your day started, everybody. So, but yes, don't be scared of caffeine. You can drink caffeine. It's just that when we hit a certain amount of caffeine, then you should cycle in some water.
I
So
think we've all probably had that where we've drank too much caffeine and we start to feel a headache coming on,
a
or
headache and just,
we can feel those effects of the dehydration where the caffeine almost makes us tired, and it's not necessarily the caffeine making us tired. I'm convinced it's the dehydration making us tired almost because of that lack of caffeine results in the the lower energy in the brain.
yeah, yeah. So next time when you drink water, maybe just right now, maybe you're drinking water right now, which I hope. I'm trying to be like a good role model here and drink some water. Next time when you drink water, actually, I want you to be very mindful and notice maybe some of the changes that are happening. Maybe you are becoming a little bit more aware or like a little bit less brain foggy, especially in the afternoon. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you just feel a little bit refreshed. But when we talk about doing things mindfully, I also want you to do that same thing when you are drinking water. Maybe just right now, have a couple more sips of water, and maybe you were able to focus a little bit more or something. So notice those little differences. Some people, I don't know, I don't think it ever was like a question, oh, sparkling water, does that count? And it is. Sparkling water is a great choice. I know, Alita, you like this one brand, the
Waterloo.
Waterloo or something.
That's my
Is that
favorite.
what?
Yeah, Waterloo.
Yeah, and I love the lemon, and I usually, well, it's very actually very common in Europe. They ask you if you want the sparkling or non-sparkling water because a lot of people just drink sparkling water. I am a big fan as well, and I love it. It's specifically for people who can't handle sparkling water. Not everybody likes that. Some people find it weird, but it encourages some people to drink more water because it does have a little bit flavor. I don't know if anybody has, last year we talked about all these new different water bottles that are coming on the market. The ones that you drink through the scent, like the scent of, they have those capsules or something up on top in the lid. And just by you smelling watermelon, for instance, the water tastes differently. So it tastes like watermelon. And so we can trick our brain into maybe, hopefully, drinking more water because some people really have a hard time drinking water. And, we always talk about this. Oh, you need at least 8 glasses of 8 ounce. 8 ounce, eight glasses of 8 ounces. And so that is like, I would say almost the bare minimum of water. But if you are somebody who sits or stands most of the time at the desk, I think if you get to 8 ounce glasses, I would already be really happy and proud of you. Add in that coffee in the morning or that tea that you like to drink, and then maybe cycle in one of those cans of water, sparkling water, and you are golden. It's really hard for us to narrow down how much water everybody should be drinking because we don't know your body type. We don't know how active you are before, during, after work. So that is really a big thing. But today we did want to
How much you
focus a
sweat.
little bit. What did you say, Alita?
Also, how much you sweat when you're being active.
Exactly,
Like,
because I'm like not, I don't sweat very much. So I don't lose a lot of like water when I work out. I don't know how about you, Alita. Do you? Well, I guess when I do a leg day or lots of like if I would take a spin class, I know I have to drink more water then.
yeah, that's the thing is also like the time of year that it is. You know, in summer here in Houston, you can go outside and start sweating just standing there. So it really is dependent on the time of year, the environment you're in, and what your body is like. So I agree with you, Julia. 8 glasses is the bare minimum, and I would say that's like. And the recommendations actually are 9 cups for women and 13 cups for men. And I know 13 cups sounds
Sounds crazy. For
crazy,
some, yeah,
but
for some people, yeah. If we are
also if you're
just
taking
drinking,
certain supplements or things like that. Like I've recently been fascinated with creatine. I don't know if anybody else on here
yeah, me too.
experimented with creatine, but the more I've learned about it is like if you're taking creatine, the whole purpose of how it works is it saturates the muscle with water, and that water is stored in the muscle. But if you're not getting enough, what I noticed is I'd be doing a bioelectrical impedance body fat analysis, and it would say my body fat was much higher because the way that works is it sends an electrical signal through your muscle tissue, which is conducted through water. We're totally going off on a little side tangent here, but if you don't have water properly stored, because if you're not fully hydrated and it's not stored in your muscles, that device will say that you have more body fat than what you actually do have
Mm-hmm.
because it's traveling through the muscle slower because there's not an adequate amount of water there. When it travels slower, it thinks that slow time equals body fat, blocking the impedance of the electrical uh, thing going through your body. That said, since taking creatine, I have noticed bioelectrical impedance is higher. And I think it's because I've just continued to drink the same amount of water. And with the creatine, it's not getting enough water into the muscle. So I have since done some research, and it's showing if you're taking creatine, really you should be at 100 ounces of water or more.
Yeah,
And I
I
was
added quite a
stunned
bit
to
of
see that.
water.
So if anyone's on here taking creatine, just a heads up on that.
So, and now we are going on a tangent here, but like when I started taking creatine, I started with just a little glass, with my creatine powder. And now I'm actually drinking it out of a big water bottle just because I do feel my body needs more hydration. Now I need to drink more water since I started taking creatine. And this is just the way that I like to do it. I sip it throughout the day, and that's how I take it. But
Actually, what I do too.
yeah, and I know a lot of us, it's one of those things. No, people talk about creatine, and if you are doing it, if you are one of us, like many people do, it is really good for you, but make sure that you hydrate enough. And then we also talk sometimes we talk about sports drinks. When do I need to drink sports drinks, or when should I take in like electrolytes or something? Alita, we talked about that. We also talked a little bit about that already during another coffee talk, I think. And electrolytes are really important for our body, no? But sometimes we don't have to overthink how to, like, when should I do, when do I need to drink my electrolytes? I do, when we talk about spin classes, for instance, I do drink sports drinks during heavy workouts, like a 60-minute spin class, for instance. That's when my body, or when I'm going on a long, like I have my triathlon coming up. So I do try to get my electrolytes throughout those events. But for a regular workout, like when we do dumbbell strength, for instance, on Monday, I don't really take any extra electrolytes. I feel like I get most of the things I need from the food I'm eating. Sometimes just adding a little, lemon into my water, or orange, um, and is perfect. How do you feel about that, Alita, with the electrolytes? How do you consume
One
electrolytes?
time, I think now we've had a lot of electrolytes promoted to us through companies selling them,
Mm-hmm.
and they are selling them with a target population in mind. However, that target population has expanded to the general public, I think, or it really should be promoted, and they're usually intended to be promoted to athletes
Yeah.
or people who are active for 60 minutes or longer and sweating significantly during
Mm-hmm.
that 60-minute session. But I think a lot of people, because it's talked about so much among the fitness population in general, that they are overdoing it on the electrolytes, honestly. And I was one of those people. And there are certain hydration brands or electrolyte brands that give a higher dose of the sodium and potassium than others. I think you just need to be very careful with that. I was taking element or adding element to my drinks during a summer. It was like a couple of summers ago, and I got the worst headaches. Um, Pretty much these symptoms that David just put in here for
What are those?
hyponatremia.
I didn't see them.
Or actually, no, it was too much sodium. I was getting like a
Yeah, too
headache,
much sodium.
and just feeling like my blood pressure was really high,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. And I realized it was from taking the element too many days in a row, and it
Yeah,
had raised my sodium too high.
yeah.
So I'd say be careful on that. And as a result, what I learned from that experience was uh, you can overdo it on some of these things, and it does not feel good. So watch out on, are you actually sweating for an hour a day? And if so, then you can look at those sports drinks or electrolyte packets. Otherwise, since then, I usually just take a packet of, it's not whatever brand I have or get. I usually do that maybe once a week on a day that
Yeah.
I have a long hard workout outside. But it's not as frequent as it used to be. So I just say be there's a lot of people trying to sell it. Think about when you're hearing that and getting that
Yeah.
recommendation from somebody, what is their goal? Are they selling this? Is it coming from, like, what's the purpose here? Are they trying to make some money from it, or
Other
where's
than
the ad
making
coming
money
from?
of
Yeah.
us. And it's how it is. No, we see something, they market it really well. They are really good at their jobs, and we think this is what we need. But Alita said it right. This was made for athletes and for people who are 60, 90, 2 hours. Look at those soccer players running around. No, the football players and the American football players. These people really need to drink their electrolytes, and we do too. if we are in a situation where we go maybe 3 hours of paddleboarding, and in the summer in Houston, I don't know if you can go paddleboarding. Probably you probably have a lake in Houston. I would assume somewhere you are out in the heat for a longer period of time. Absolutely, you can have your electrolytes. But if you are on a really well, nourished diet and you get most of the things that you need, water is oftentimes enough, but it's also not going to hurt you to have a little bit electrolytes from time to time, especially when you are doing a longer workout. So we are kind of coming to a wrap up here. So what we wanted you to know today is to learn is maybe as surprising as it was to Alita and myself, that the brain is the first organ that will be affected, even if you just lose the tiniest of hydration in your body. So that's why I like to always have my reusable water bottle right here at my desk, because I like to be in the habit where I just sip my water throughout the day. Especially after last week when we realized that the brain is so affected by it, because I'm hoping that I can maybe not get into that afternoon slump where I don't get all groggy and foggy and tired, or maybe I have that headache starting, by just hydrating my body and my poor little brain. And so that's what we wanted you to know, that hydration is important for our entire body, but our organs are the ones that are really suffering a lot and quickly from not drinking enough water. Okay, it gives you hopefully another good reason to start drinking more water, because it is, strangely enough, pretty hard to stay on track. And Alita, I'm sure that you and everybody here, our team, feels the same way. Oftentimes, I have days where we are busy, like today. It was a crazy morning already, and the water bottle at 2 p.m. is still almost full. So I hope that you will be mindful and recognize these things that are happening in your body, and hopefully this will trigger us to drink more water. And I know we keep talking water, 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 and it's like it's a real issue for our body if we don't provide it with enough hydration. And we want you to know that coffee is not, or caffeine is not a bad thing. It's, at a certain point you will have to add some water into your rotation. Have a coffee, have a water. We talk the same about when you have a cocktail, have water after, and hydrate your body, because alcohol is one of those things as well. It will dehydrate your body. And so
I'll
that's
chime
what
in
we,
right there. The way you were
please.
mentioning, like you realize, oh, your water bottle's still full. That
Mm-hmm.
often happens at home, where I'll get home and I'll be like, oh man, my goal is to refill my water bottle at least twice. So if it's not empty and I'm making dinner and I'm like, okay, it's time for a glass of wine. But if my water bottle is not gone, I know that wine's going to dehydrate me even more so overnight. I am usually telling myself I have to finish this water
That's what I
before
do.
I open the wine, you know?
That's what I
So
do. And I think that's a
yeah,
really good goal.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
And
helps a
then
lot. Otherwise, the
it
next morning you wake up and
not
you
feeling
have
good.
the foggy feeling or the dehydration, the headache, the
Yeah.
cramping, things like that.
Exactly. We want you to feel excited about drinking more water. We want you to feel like, oh, wow, I really have to. Maybe it's not excitement. Maybe it's like, oh my goodness, I am not helping myself by not drinking enough water, because my poor brain that you have to use all day long to be coding or to lead team meetings or whatever your role is here at HP, that you feel encouraged and now ready to hydrate more. And we want you to actually, let's all commit to providing our bodies, our brain, with the hydration that it needs to work fully, to be fully aware of what we are doing all day long, and commit to me and to commit to us right now and to yourself that next time when you do feel a little just a little tired and maybe not 100% there, and you are kind of, it's noon, and try to drink a glass of water, and feel the changes in your body. Feel the changes that are happening in your brain. Maybe you are feeling refreshed and you are ready to tackle the afternoon. So really be mindful about this, because our brain is is a really important organ. No, we it's just how it is. We need to provide it with the water. Everything that our body is asking for. We just need to treat our body so well, everybody, because this is our only one that we get. So be good to yourself. And today we are committing to drinking enough water. Cheers, everybody. Thank you for getting this started for me, Alita. And I want you to, yeah, just enjoy your day. If it's hot like it's here where you are, you have to even drink more water. So hydrate, be good
Yeah,
to
put in the
yourself and
chat
the
box
people around
anything you're
you.
going to do a little bit differently, maybe.
Yes.
Let us know if what you might be switching up, if anything. For me, I'm increasing to 100 ounces. It's summertime in Houston. I'm taking the creatine. I'm going to be drinking 100 ounces of water, which is an increase for me.
You know
What
what
are
I'm
you
going
going to
to do?
do?
You know
What
what
are
I'm
you
going
going
to
to do
do?
different? Sorry.
I'm going to eat more water, food that has more water. Like I'm going to start eating a little bit more fruits and vegetables throughout the summer. That's what I do anyways, but I'm going to find more foods. And maybe you have a favorite food that provides you with a lot
Oh,
of water.
I've eating so much watermelon
I haven't
this
had any
month.
yet this year. I haven't had any this year.
Julia.
No, I
Yeah,
know.
it's the best. It's the
It's the
best.
best.
Grapes, I've been having a lot of
Water,
grapes.
melon.
Oranges, those
Yep.
are all my go-tos for water-rich fruits.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you have a water-rich food that you prefer and you love, put it in the chat. Okay, everybody? So thank you for joining. Sorry that I was a little bit late. I will explain it later. But
See
anyways,
ya.
thank you so
Bye,
much,
everybody.
everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers to water. Bye.